Welcome back to Rank and File Sports, where we are grading every single NFL draft class based on three categories. First of all, we're going to grade based off of whether or not the team drafted the players that fit their needs for next season, as well as the overall talent that they got, just assessing the draft class as a whole. And then finally, the value. Is each player worth where they were drafted at? Were they a steal at that position, or did the team maybe reach a little bit and not get as good a value as they could have if they had traded the pick? And then after that, we're going to go ahead and give them an overall grade. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video.
After winning the NFC South, one of the worst divisions in all of the NFL, the Buccaneers going into the NFL draft had needs of a corner, an edge rusher, a linebacker, a wide receiver, and a tight end. And with their first round pick, they took Emeka Egbuka, the national champion wide receiver from Ohio State. And Jonah, I absolutely loved this pick because even though he might not have been the best wide receiver available, it fits what the Buccaneers need. They don't need a guy that needs to go catch jump balls and run the deep routes. They have that guy. That's Mike Evans. What they needed was a slot wide receiver that can stay healthy because Chris Godwin's had issues with that. So if Emeka Egbuka can fit that Chris Godwin role, this is going to be a phenomenal pick.
Yeah, and speaking of phenomenal, he is a phenomenal route runner. And I think he's going to play just so well into that Tampa Bay offense. Potential rookie of the year candidate, in my opinion. So that in even though it's technically a reach, I think that was probably the perfect pick for the Buccaneers. Their second pick, I also really like Benjamin Morrison. I think is going to fit in really nicely on this Tampa Bay defense. Also could be classified as a little bit of a reach, but maybe only by like 10 or so picks. Personally, I think Siobhan Revel Jr. is a better cornerback, and he was available when they took Morrison, but that's a really small thing there, to be honest. So I'm not going to fault them too much for that.
Yeah, I think Benjamin Morrison is still going to be a great corner. He might be a little bit undersized compared to Siobhan Revel, considering he's only 6 foot, but he is great in press coverage. We saw that throughout Notre Dame's playoff run because they ran so much man coverage, and I think that's going to be a great addition to this Buccaneers defense. And then in the third round, they also went corner again and took Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State. Kind of the same thing, a little bit of a reach considering that there were guys ahead of him overall wise, but he's still one of the guys. I've seen a couple different analysts say that Jacob Parrish was a little bit underrated, and that's probably due to the fact that he's a little bit shorter. He's only 5'10", but still has incredible ball skills, and sees the quarterbacks really well. So I think this is still going to be a great pick for this Buccaneers defense.
Yeah, next though, in the fourth round, David Walker out of Central Arkansas. Edge rusher. This does fit a team need. I think it's a little bit of an interesting pick. I can't say I know a ton about David Walker. I mean, he went off for Central Arkansas, getting 31 sacks over 3 seasons, which is huge. I believe he had 63 tackles for loss. Whether or not that's going to be able to translate to the NFL, I think that's going to take a little bit of time probably to, up that level of competition, but still definitely for the fourth round, it's a very good value pick, I think, that could turn out very well for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and with this next pick, this is a story of the draft for the Buccaneers too. They just doubled up on their needs every single time, and they took another edge rusher in the fifth round, this time being Elijah Roberts out of SMU. Kind of the same thing, another story with this draft. They reached a little bit ahead of position ranks or overall ranks, but it wasn't a gross reach. They didn't take someone that was projected to go several rounds later. They took someone that was projected to go a couple picks later, and that's actually all right. And Elijah Roberts has a lot of potential as well. He had 23 and a half tackles for loss and 17 and a half sacks in his 2 seasons at SMU. That's monster numbers. And in this Buccaneers defense, once again, he's going to be able to feast, especially with big guys like Vita Vea. on that defensive line.
And their seventh round pick, I also really like Tez Johnson. He's a super fast guy. Um, and while he's definitely not as good as Egbuka, he's not a bad depth receiver to have. You can throw him on the field a couple times in during the game. And yeah, I think for a seventh round pick, just getting a little bit more depth at wide receiver, definitely not bad to have. Now, as far as their needs grade goes, though, yes, they did double up on three of their needs. However, no linebackers were drafted. The tight end you can maybe get away with not drafting, but no linebackers, that's pretty tough for me to see. So even though they got two receivers and two corners and two edge rushers, we're going to give them a C plus for needs. I really would have liked to see them address that linebacker position. I get it; they only had six picks, but there probably could have been something that was done here to, maybe trade back a little bit for one of these. So yeah, I think they could have gotten a linebacker, which would have helped out that needs grade a bit. Talent wise, though, they're getting an A. I love every single one of these players. I don't think they missed on a single pick here. Every single one of these guys, I believe, will see the field for Tampa Bay next season at some point. So honestly, talent wise, this is almost as good as you can get for the Buccaneers. Value wise, we're gonna give it an A minus. I think that where they got every single player, they probably couldn't have traded back, more than five picks before they would have risked losing them. So I think while technically these were all reaches by, 5 to 10 picks, really they got them about the perfect spot. And I think because of how well they're going to fit into this Tampa Bay scheme, every single one of these guys, I think that value wise, it deserves an A minus. So overall, B plus draft from the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I would be really happy as a Tampa Bay fan if this was the draft class I got, because you addressed enough of the needs, and like you said, all these guys have the potential to start or at least get solid game reps going into next season. Tez Johnson, even though he's going to be a depth wide receiver, he's going to be an immediate impact on special teams because that's what he was most known for at Oregon as well. He returned punts, he returned kickoffs. He was, like you said, one of the fastest guys in all of college football last year. And everyone else had some niche reason for why they were so coveted. Mecca Buka in the slot, Benjamin Morrison in press coverage, Jacob Parrish just has elite ball skills, and two solid edge rushers that had very successful and productive seasons. This is a phenomenal draft class for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.